Obsession is a deeply human trait. We fixate on goals, on hobbies, on people we admire or love. But there is a tipping point where that fixation bypasses basic human empathy and completely suffocates the conscience. That tipping point is exactly where we find Carolyn Reed Robertson, a quiet teenager from Melbourne, and Paul Wilkinson, an outgoing police liaison officer from Sydney. Two completely different people, separated by hundreds of miles, who both crossed that line. Looking at this psychological model, we can map out two distinct types of fatal fixations. On the left, we have inward obsession, a desire to absorb and take on another person's identity. On the right is outward obsession, the drive to aggressively possess and control someone else's life. Caroline's pathology was driven by crippling envy. She hated herself so deeply that she mapped out a plan to quite literally become her 15-year-old neighbor, Rachel Barber. Paul's actions stemmed from arrogant narcissism. He demanded absolute dominion over a secret double life he was building with a nurse named Kylie Labouchardiere. One killer wanted to disappear into someone else. The other wanted someone else to exist only for him. Yet despite moving in totally opposite psychological directions, both bypassed human reason and arrived at the exact same destination of calculated, cold-blooded murder. Caroline's obsession was silent. From her bedroom window in suburban Melbourne, she watched Rachel. She filled her diaries with obsessive notes about her neighbor's hypnotic green eyes, pale skin, and dancer's body, documenting every physical detail she wanted for herself. She didn't stop at watching. Caroline meticulously gathered identity documents, including a birth certificate, preparing the paperwork required to steal Rachel's life. Paul Wilkinson's obsession operated entirely differently. His method was sheer, suffocating volume. He needed to dominate every waking second of Kylie's attention, effectively walling her off from the rest of the world. In a span of just 4 months, Paul and Kylie exchanged a staggering 23,836 text messages and phone calls. That averages out to contact every 10 minutes, every hour of every day. To clear space for this intense affair, Paul manipulated his own household. He sent his pregnant wife to live with her parents by fabricating police case threats against his family. He even pinned a fake note to the wall with a knife through his son's teddy bear to sell the lie. Whether stalking quietly through a window or bombarding a phone with thousands of messages, both predators methodically dismantled the boundaries of their victims' lives. These were long-term, calculated, structural invasions. Fantasies often remain in the mind, but a catalyst, a specific external pressure point, can force a stalker to set a real-world deadline. For Caroline, the timeline crystallized after she left school and secured a secluded, rented apartment in Paran. She finally had the physical staging ground required to execute her plan. Paul's deadline arrived when Kylie discovered she was pregnant. For a man juggling a new wife and baby, this was a massive complication that threatened to permanently expose his compartmentalized double life. With the pressure mounting, both killers set their traps. Caroline reached out to the ambitious young dancer down the street and offered Rachel a lucrative, secretive modeling job to get her alone. Paul convinced an ecstatic Kylie that he was finally leaving his wife, promising her they were moving to the country town of Dubbo to start fresh together. Rachel followed Caroline onto a tram and into her apartment. Kylie met Paul at the station. Both victims walked willingly to their deaths, placing complete trust in the people waiting for them. The deadliest phase of a predatory obsession occurs here. The predator weaponizes the victim's own hopes. By promising a career breakthrough or a lifelong romance, they ensure the victim comes to them alone. Once isolated, the trap snapped shut. Caroline showed Rachel a few fake relaxation exercises before strangling her with a computer cable. Paul murdered Kylie shortly after she withdrew $25,000 in cash for their new life. In courtrooms, defendants frequently claim they simply snapped, framing their actions as a sudden crime of passion. But analyzing a killer's behavior immediately after the murder shatters that defense. Caroline dumped Rachel's body in a shallow grave on her family's rural farm. When police eventually knocked on her apartment door, she feigned an epileptic fit, pretending to have amnesia to avoid questioning. Paul's reaction was aggressively sadistic. Instead of hiding, he initiated a 5-year game of cat and mouse with investigators, taunting the police and Kylie's grieving family. He routinely fed authorities false leads. He would direct them to dig up random locations north of Sydney, watching them mount massive search operations, only to leave them with empty dirt. He maintained total silence on the actual location of Kylie's remains. These calculated deceptions confirm the absolute narcissism at play. For these individuals, the murder isn't the end of the event. The aftermath itself is a game of control they feel entitled to win. Both killers eventually faced trial. Caroline Reed Robertson received a 20-year sentence. Paul Wilkinson was sentenced to a minimum of 24 years behind bars. A prison term closes a legal file, but the justice system is entirely inadequate when measuring the true cost of extreme obsession. No verdict can repair the psychological destruction inflicted on the survivors. Kylie Labouchardiere's family continues to endure a waking nightmare. Because Paul refuses to surrender his final piece of leverage, they are denied a funeral, knowing her remains are still hidden somewhere in the dark. Rachel Barber's parents must live with a chilling reality of their own. They carry the permanent, haunting memory of the quiet, unremarkable teenager down the street who spent years plotting to steal their daughter's future. A fatal obsession operates as the ultimate objectification of human life. It is a black hole of ego that consumes its target entirely, leaving behind an unfillable void for everyone who loved them.